And welcome to the public meeting for November 20th, 2019, and we're starting the meeting at 7:07 p.m. And at this time, I'd like to call forward Mr. Trent West, who's going to be, I believe, introducing a person to our community and to the council chambers and gallery.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Please don't be disappointed, but I'm not going to do a great job of this introduction because I just met him outside. Names is going to be a problem. His first name is Dale. Last name is Morgan.
Sure.
Nice. Okay. I'd like to introduce the new incoming staff sergeant for the RCMP Strathmore detachment, Dale Morgan.
Thank you. I'm pleased to meet you and looking forward to working with you. I was a little leery when he first said, don't be disappointed. I'm going, where's this going from here? But because they say first impressions, and I just met him 2 minutes ago. So I won't take up any of your time tonight because I know you folks are busy. And as I said, I do look forward to working with you. We have put an offering on a house here. Looking very forward to being here. I'm a strong proponent of living in the community that I police. And I like Strathmore. I was stationed at one point in Swift Current in Saskatchewan, and I find the two communities fairly similar. So I got a little bit of knowledge of how the economies work. They're fairly similar. And no, we did. We put an offer in the house today, so we're hoping it gets accepted, and we'll hope to be here before Christmas. And I would imagine you folks will probably be broke for Christmas over that time, but as we go into the new year, I look very forward to working with you all. And I appreciate you taking your time tonight to give me 5 minutes to introduce myself. So,
Thank you, and welcome to our community. We think you'll really enjoy it here, and I think you'll enjoy working with the council and the town administration.
yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Thanks. Welcome.
Can you tell us?
I can. I have 30 years of policing, 29 and a half. Really? Okay, so my favorite counselor so far is Denise. No, I have 30 years of policing. I did my first 18 in British Columbia. I've been in northern British Columbia, Kootenays, southern British Columbia. I was in Saskatchewan for 6 years. I was in New Brunswick for 6 years, and I'm looking forward to being back west. I have a lot of family ties back here. My daughters are born in the west and stayed in the west, so Mom thought it was time that we come back to be near family. So, yeah. So, thank you.
Yes, you're free to leave. We would never punish you to have you stay longer. Good evening. I'd like to open the public hearing of council pertaining to bylaw number 19-12. It is being held November 20th, 2019 at 7:11 p.m. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, Chapter M-26, and amendments thereto. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to bylaw number 19-12 now open at 7:11. Can we have a motion to adopt the public hearing agenda? Councillor Peterson.
Yes, Your Worship, I move that we adopt the public hearing agenda for November 5th, 2019.
Thank you very much, Councillor
No,
Peterson.
November 20th.
Thank you very much, Councillor Peterson. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? And the motion is carried. Legislative Services.
Thank you, Worship. Bylaw 1912 amends the existing land use bylaw from commercial highway to direct control, redesignating 717 Westlake Road. Bylaw 1912 was published in the Strathmore Times on November 1st and November 8th, 2019.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. The following rules of conduct will be followed during the public hearing. Presentations should be brief and to the point and shall be limited to 3 minutes in length. The order of presentation shall be the administration, those in favor of the bylaw, those opposed to the bylaw, any other person deemed to be affected by the bylaw, and council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the bylaw. Do we have a presentation from administration? Justin?
We do, if you'd like one, Council.
Council, are you okay with what you have in front of you, the package that's been presented? Thank you. Are there any here, oh, sorry, to date, one letter has been received, is that correct, Justin?
Yes.
I thought I saw two, are there two? I believe so. Does the administration have any comments?
I think just overall, Council, we're very excited to welcome a national business to the town. They've been really proactive with the town coming to meet with us. We've had really positive discussions. We think it'll be great to bring a national chain here and to bring some new jobs and population. And the applicants are here to answer any questions. I believe they have a small package as well for you if you'd like to learn more about their business.
Thank you, Justin. Is there anyone present who supports the bylaw who wishes to speak? Come on up to the microphone, and if you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself so we know who you are.
Hi, Your Worship, Council. My name is Rob Betzworth, owner of 717 Westlake Road, the building. This is our realtor, commercial realtor, who's for our side. Andy is the owner of Fix Auto, and he couldn't be here tonight. He was planning on it. He fell sick today. So we did print out some more information with regarding Fix Auto. We'll do our best to answer any questions from the business and as it relates to Fix Auto. We do know quite a bit about them now that we've been working with them and going through leases and everything else. But just from a building point of view, we feel pretty blessed. I have a partner in the building, Michael Rust. He's in the U.S. right now, traveling for business. So we feel pretty blessed to be able to work with a group like Fix Auto and have them sort of anchor our building. And as you know, the building over there has been a car wash and gone through, well, probably the oldest car wash in Strathmore, the original one, and gone through several users over the years. So this land use amendment, and then working with Harry and his group and DP and getting through to the actual building permit stage, this change of use for the building and change of use for the town, I think, would be really beneficial. As was mentioned by Justin, Fix Auto is a international chain, 550 outlets worldwide. So the standard is not a mom and pop standard, and this is some of the tenants that we've been used to is sort of a mom and pop standard type of business. So they bring a whole different level of standard to the building. I think the other thing that, and in working with safety and with Harry, and one of the things that it's gonna cost us a lot of money up front, but I think in the long run is going to pay huge dividends. Is the building right now has always been at a certain level, and we've brought certain operators in, and it's been at that level. But Fix Auto is saying, no, that's not a good enough level for us. And we're working through Harry. He's saying, well, if we're going to go through this change of use and everything, the level needs to go to here. So we're going to go through certain things with Harry, talk about sprinkling the building and things like that to bring up the safety of the building. So in addition to the tenant and the anchor tenant, the whole building and the rest of the tenants that are there are also going to benefit from the added safety of the building. So that's from a sort of a building point of view. Darren, or if any questions regarding the building, I can try to answer for you.
We've got some packages too, on the Fixed Auto group, if you want me.
Councillor Bauer?
Thank you, Your Worship. My question to you, Rob, is just that that particular building also contains residential
Correct.
apartments. I'm wondering if the ventilation system is going to be affected at all with the types of chemicals and whatnot
Definitely.
that you're using in a fix, in your
Yeah.
type of business.
Yeah.
Is the current ventilation going to be upgraded so that those people are not going to be smelling?
Yeah, no,
and that
good
kind of thing.
good question, and these are all questions that we asked Andy right from the get-go as well. And I should mention, Andy as an operator owns 2 other locations, so this is not his first voyage. This will be his 3rd location, so he's kind of an expert at what he does, and he's going to hit the ground running. In terms of, thank you.
It's also a full makeup hair system.
Yeah, in terms of what's currently in place and what we'll need, engineering firms will go through and decide that for us. But in terms of the business itself, auto body shops are not really these days are what I'm used to. I'm kind of used to the banging, the clanging, the hammers, and all that kind of thing. The paint booths where everyone's smelling everything. That's not the way it's done anymore. They repair very little. They replace almost everything. Paint booths these days are 100% self-contained, using water-soluble paints. They have their own ventilation system and their own fire suppression system. So what we would think of as an auto body shop from the past is nothing like it is now. We've talked to tenants around Andy's other buildings. We've gotten letters. There's a few letters from some of our existing tenants, and we've sort of let them know, and we've let them, given them the packet of information too, to say, hey, here's what it is, here's what's coming, and are there any concerns? So we actually believe a dryer from a laser car wash and pumps from a car wash are actually going to be more noise pollution than actually what's going to be in the building with Fix Auto. So yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Bauer. Are there any other questions for these gentlemen? Councillor Peterson.
Thank you, Worship. We're really excited always, I think, to have new businesses come into our community. And one of the things that this council is particularly focused in on is collaboration, corporate responsibility, and what we can do together. And I noticed that you have really good, when I was looking at the profile online, really good professional development for your employees. And I was wondering, in addition to that, if you offer opportunity for apprenticeship in your place of business.
They do, yes.
Do you know? Yeah.
It's
They
a huge deficit in this community, opportunity for apprenticeship.
Is that right?
Particularly in that area.
They have apprentices all the time.
Thank you.
As a part of their business.
It's really encouraging.
And
Thank
that's
you.
also where they need to get their employees from. They need to basically bring them in as apprentices and then get them on the road to becoming
Right.
full technicians.
Thank you.
So that's a major part of it.
That's a huge benefit to community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Any other councillors for questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Is there anyone present who opposes the bylaw who wishes to speak? Is there anyone present deemed to be affected by the bylaw who wishes to speak? Seeing none, do the councillors have any further questions? And does council have all the information they need to make a decision? Seeing that, I hereby declare this public hearing for bylaw number 19-12 closed at 7:21 p.m. and will accept a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? Thank you. This brings us to the public hearing dealing with 19-15. This public hearing is held pursuant to the Municipal Government Act RSA 2000, Chapter M-26 and amendments thereto. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to bylaw number 19-15 now open at 7:21 p.m. Legislative Services.
Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw 1915 amends the existing land use bylaw to redesignate 19 Lakewood Meadows from R1S to DC. The bylaw was published in the Strathmore Times on November 1st and November 8th, 2019.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. The following rules of conduct will be followed during this public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point and shall be limited to 3 minutes in length. The order of presentation shall be the administration, followed by those in favor of the bylaw, those opposed to the bylaw, any other person deemed to be affected by the bylaw. Council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the bylaw. To date, no letters of submission have been received. Administration, did you want to make a brief presentation? Or I guess we'll see how the council feels.
Yes, so once again, we do have a presentation if you'd like. Great.
Thank you very much, Justin. We're good. Is there anyone present who supports the bylaw who wishes to speak? If you wouldn't mind coming to the microphone and introducing yourself, thank you.
Hello everyone, Honorable Council and all other attendees, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Sam Malik and I'm the owner of that house, 19 Lakewood Views. And I'd like to just present 3 minutes of the presentation for all of you. Considering the social and economical situation here, I think this is a great opportunity for the city of town of Strathmore to look into opening up the window for the other investors as well as the business people to create opportunity for secondary suite in their basement while complying to all the health, safety, and environmental regulations and requirements. I myself am an engineer, and I am a PEGA member of the professional engineer with the designation of PEng. Considering all the safety requirements when we built this house, we considered all the safety requirements for the escape routes, for the air and ventilation, and ensuring all the time HVAC system as well as the temperature in the basement is maintained to the desirable situation. So what we did is we elevated the ceiling as well as we provided higher capacity of the furnace there, which is suffice the needs to maintain the temperature all the time there. And in case of fire, there are escape routes. Since this is a walkout basement, there are bigger windows as well as two doors. One goes up and other one exit from the main floor. There are 2 exit from the doors as well as from the larger windows. In case of fire, people can evacuate from that. So keeping that in mind, I do like to request to approve this because of it meets the requirement, and we will still work with the safety requirements and health requirements of the town to meet any other additional requirements for this. So I will be happy to answer any other specific questions you have, and I like to just request the approval.
Does council have any questions for the gentleman? No, Your Worship. No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone present who opposes the bylaw who wishes to speak? Just have to look through the crowd for a little longer. Is there anyone present deemed to be affected by the bylaw who wishes to speak? Again, this could take a moment. Do the councillors have any further questions? Thank you. Seeing that, does council have all the information they need to make a decision? Thank you. And I hereby declare this public hearing for bylaw number 19-14 closed at 7:25 p.m. and we'll take a motion to close.
So moved, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? The motion is carried.
Your Worship,
Councillor,
would there be any desire to move 12 to the front?
okay, thank you. So I call to order the public portion of the meeting, November 20th, 2019 at 7:21 p.m. And at this time, are there any emergent items from any of the councillors? Councillor Bauer.
I just have an item in camera, Your Worship, that I'd like to add. It's number 3.3, and it's an item pertaining to FOIP, Section 17, please.
Thank you. Is there anything from administration? Then I'm looking for Councillor
Well,
Sobel.
this isn't an emergent item, but I think in view of the fact that we have guests in the building, I wonder if we could move Section 12 of our agenda to the forefront. I'm not sure where, Jen?
Jennifer, where do you suggest we put the 2 bylaws?
Your Worship, we can change the items moved into item 4.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Councillor
I so
Sobel.
move. Yes, that's right.
Thank you. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? The motion is carried. So at this time, we have item 3, which are in-camera items, which will be later. Item 4, 4.1. 12.1 is moved up there, correct? Thank you very much. So thank you. That's what I was really looking for. Land use bylaw amendment bylaw number 19-12. And Justin, are you coming back up for us?
Again, council, we're happy to answer any questions or.
Are there any further questions for Justin? Councillor Montgomery?
No, I'm just ready to
Oh.
make a motion.
Thank you very much. Councillor Montgomery?
I will move that council gives second reading to bylaw number 19-12.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Montgomery. You've all heard the motion. Actually, now that we have second reading on the floor, is there any discussion or comments? Sorry for that. I want to make sure I follow procedure. Seeing none, all in favor? The motion is carried. Councillor Bauer.
I move that council give third reading to bylaw 19-12, a bylaw redesignating 717 Westlake Road from commercial highway to direct control.
Thank you very much for that motion. All in favor? And the motion is carried. And that brings us to item, which was 12.2, Land Use Bylaw Amendment, Bylaw 19-15. Justin, do you have any more comments, or are there any questions for Justin?
Again, we're really happy to recommend this. I'd actually really like to give a quick shout out to Cameron Thompson, who's not here today. We actually did get a couple of letters of concern at the time. Sorry, my throat. Cameron did a really great job working with both the residents, and they actually requested that the letters be retracted because they were in full support of this application. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Cameron for his great work with the public. So.
Yes, good work, Cameron.
He is actually watching right now. He had to go home, but.
Hi, Cameron.
Thank you very much. No other questions for Justin? Then I'm looking for a motion. Councillor Montgomery.
I will move that council gives second reading to bylaw number 19-15.
Thank you, Councillor Montgomery. We have a motion for second reading. Is there any discussion or comments on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor Sobel.
Your worship, I would move that council give third reading to bylaw number 19-15, being a bylaw to redesignate 19 Lakewood Mews from R1S to direct control.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sobel. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you very much, Justin, for your time and your presentation. And gentlemen, thank you for being here. You're free to go.
In the end, I do like to thank actually town of Strathmore. They were very helpful throughout the process, and I do like to especially thank Mr. Cameron and Mr. Justin, as well as health inspector and everyone else, so that to support us, the other investors out of the town. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone and your time this evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
We're still not waiving your DPP.
Justin, was Chuck involved in this too?
Unfortunately not.
Darn it, okay. Thanks.
You sure he was involved initially with us?
Oh, Chuck! Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
I'm trying to shine light on my other stuff.
Oh, thank you, Justin. That's very good of you. All right, that brings us to, yes, we have no delegations. We have no consent agenda. 7.1, adoption of the regular council meeting minutes for November 6, 2019. Councillor Montgomery.
So I will move that we adopt the minutes with the amendment to resolution 323-1119. Please.
Thank you very much for that motion. All in favor? Motion is carried. I believe we have no tabled items. Number 9, items or reports from administration. 9.1, prayer for council, which is on page 13. Councillor Peterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am asking, or I don't know if it has to come in a motion to table or to postpone. It can just stay. Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, council must make another resolution to postpone to a different date because the date that was originally in the motion has passed. So a new motion would be required.
So, Your Worship, at this time, I think I would withdraw the motion, but I have another motion to put forward with your benefit.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
It's very kind of you.
Thank
I didn't
you.
understand the word, but thank you.
So, Your Worship, I would move,
Oh, sorry, Jennifer, did you want to weigh in?
Sorry, Your Worship. Technically, Your Worship, we cannot withdraw the motion because the motion has been stated and it's on the floor. So council must either table it, continue to table it, or vote on it.
so, yes, to tabling the motion, but we can just, but I still do have another motion in addition, Your Worship.
So just for clarification, we need a motion to table that?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, a motion to postpone to a different time, please.
Councillor Peterson?
Thank you, Your Worship. So I would like to move to postpone the item 9.1 prayer for council until the third meeting in December.
Which is December,
I forget the
December
date.
18th.
18th, for a discussion and decision.
Thank you very much. Now that we have a motion on the floor, is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that motion is carried.
Your Worship, I would like to move that council distribute to the local ministerial association a document that came before council titled Proposal to Introduce Prayer in Council Chambers, prepared by our legal staff, barristers and solicitors. And I would like to speak to the motion, if that's okay, Your Worship.
Yes, please.
So we have received a document from, as requested by our administration, I thank them for that, that gives an overview and a decision and strong suggestion, an opinion from Brownlee legal team regarding introducing prayer in council chambers. Council has had a chance to look at this. There is some concern on the part of council that bringing forward such a resolution as I had proposed earlier would bring some risk to this council. So what we would like to do in consideration of the fact that our ministerial association have been very patient and very, very kind in requesting participation in council, we would like to give this to them for their perusal and ask them to enter into council with discussion in how to possibly move any agenda that they may have forward in some kind of a positive way. And whether or not it can happen in this council chambers is yet to be decided, but at least it will give them opportunity to have a really good look at the issues that face this council.
Thank you for that clarification, Councillor Peterson. It's much appreciated. Councillor Montgomery.
I have a question for administration, please. Is there a mechanism by which we could post the document online so that anybody in town could access it as well?
It will become part of our minutes, right?
Okay, and if that,
Thank you, Your Worship. It should probably be included in the motion that was made to also post online.
I would consider that a friendly amendment to the motion. It'll form part of the minutes anyway, and so why wouldn't it come on before? I have no problem.
thank you.
Is everyone comfortable with that? We don't need another, Jennifer, we don't have to have it read out as far as with the friendly amendment? The new motion, we're okay? Everybody understands? All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Council, and thank you, Councillor Peterson. Which brings us to 9.2, Council Christmas Open House. Legislative Services, Jennifer?
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, annually council holds a open house in December for the community. We're bringing it back to council to see if they would like to set a date for an open house this year, and if so, choose a date and location. Administration's recommendation is December 11th. 13th, which is prior to the committee of the whole meeting from 3 to 6, and to hold it here in council chambers.
Is December 13th a Friday? I think it's a Friday.
No. Sorry. Yeah, so the December 11th from 3 to 6 is the recommendation. However, council can choose an alternative if they so wish.
Okay, council. Looking for a motion? Councilor Cox, sorry.
That's okay. I move that council hold a Christmas open house on December 11th, 2019 in the town of Strathmore Council Chambers from 3 till 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Councillor Sobel.
Your worship, I would imagine that you will be having discussions with administration in regards to an invite list.
Yes, thank you, and I will definitely do that should the motion pass, regardless of date or time or whatever. My only comments, does council feel comfortable with that period of time adding on to the committee of the whole meeting on the 11th? It's going to make for a pretty long day for staff and administration as well as councillors. You're all okay with that? All right, just wanted to point that out. All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Motion is carried. Brings us to 10.1, reports from councillors from committees on which they sit for November 20th, 2019. Councillor Sobel.
Thank you, your worship. I have one report that deals with our Sustainability Committee, and I wish to inform council and the public that Sustainability Committee met on November 18th, and I'm happy to report that with the addition of 2 new members, we have for the first time a full contingent of public members at the table. It's like it's groundbreaking. The committee was notified that the signs that pertain to our idling policy have now arrived and will be put up in areas concerning health, such as the hospital, schools, our downtown, and all municipal buildings. Councillor Montgomery has been tasked with developing a video that will focus on the reasons for this policy, which once again focus on health benefits, the reduction of pollution, and that reducing idling will save consumer money. And once again, this is a policy, and it's focused primarily on education, and that's all I have for my report, your worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sobel. Are there any other reports from councillors? Councillor Peterson.
Thank you, Worship. I did try to send it to you. I didn't realize that my computer wasn't working, so I'll send you a brief note after. So Marigold Library, I will send, had their general meeting, and they are still on track with their new building with WID, groundbreaking, looking forward to that in the spring. They remain in a solid financial position, and their CEO will be asking for permission to come before this council to talk about the advantages that Marigold Library brings specifically to the Strathmore Library. The Strathmore Overnight Shelter, I attended that meeting, and our globe-trotting representative was not there. But we did hold an AGM as well as a regular monthly meeting on Saturday, November 9th. John Hilton O'Brien remains president. Dave Mackey is vice president. I'm still the secretary. Roger Nelson is treasurer, although he does not have voting privilege. Melissa Massey is director of communications, and Joelle Nellner is director of volunteerism. The shelter has, to date, secured over 6,000 hours of volunteerism, which is extraordinary in a town this size. And of course, we have been fully utilized most every night, and volunteers are still needed. The Seniors Advisory is fully subscribed from a board perspective. They are very, very active in community in terms of their Wednesday coffee groups. They just had one today. They have they've set up senior presentations now on each one of those Wednesdays, and I think they're booked well into the new year. And they have also will be coming. I won't take their thunder. They're coming to present before council on their findings and their updates from the community. Councillor Cox and I, on behalf of Town of Strathmore and the Wheatland Housing Management Body, attended a meeting with Health and Wellness Ministry. What was that, a week ago? I guess a week ago. with regards to continuing to solicit support and assistance in the building of the new lodge. And the lodge continues to be full. There's a requisition increase this year, and we are also facing increased pressures due to government changes in legislation to social housing. And we're not too sure how that will manifest in terms of costing out in the future, but it's going to certainly bring additional pressures to an already very stressed marketplace. That is all I have, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Councillor Montgomery.
Thank you, Your Worship. All this talk about full committees and boards is making me jealous. I will let people know that the Strathmore Handy Bus Association Board is looking for new members for the board. So whether you're young or old, if you care about this community and want to become more involved, the Strathmore Handy Bus would certainly appreciate your involvement. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Montgomery. Any other council reports? Councillor Sobel, are you making a motion? Attaboy.
I can, Your Worship. I would move that, that council approve all committee reports.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sobel. I'm not doing well. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 10.2, Council Committee Meeting Minutes. Councillor Cox.
Your Worship, I move that council accepts the committee meetings for information.
Thank you very much. You have all heard the motion. All in favor? Motion is carried. Which brings us to 11.1, items directly related to council. 11.1, notice of motion for Airbnb. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Your Worship. My motion was that council direct administration to investigate adding a requirement for a business license in order to operate an Airbnb in the town of Strathmore, as well as a requirement to display signage indicating that the accommodation has been approved. I would like to amend my motion to just read an Airbnb and other home share properties, if possible. If I can have a seconder. No? Okay. So last week, we postponed our discussion on my motion. I still believe that we have an opportunity to regulate safety and proper behavior in neighborhoods. Looking at fire and safety regulations, including smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detection, and warning systems, fire extinguishers, windows and exits, all make for a safer environment for hosts. We are a small community, and today is the right time to bring forth this motion to ensure the safety measures are in place in our community. I believe that there are individuals currently operating legal and illegal home share accommodations, and this creates stressors on neighborhoods in regards to parking, noise, bylaws, and it compromises safety. We heard 2 weeks ago, our chief of the fire department and Ryan, our director of operations, also say that this would not be a big stressor on them in order to implement these, in order to look at this and implement. So I would like to end my discussion and just ask for feedback, please.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bauer. So if I understand correctly, you're adding that portion to your motion?
Other home share.
Right.
Yes.
Jennifer, do we need to have a new motion stated with that? We're good? Okay, thank you. Comments from councillors? Councillor Montgomery.
And,
Oh.
what?
I was first, but that's okay.
Sorry.
How could you be first if mine's on?
Mine was.
Oh, I see. Well, you can go first if you want. Yeah, all right, fine. I guess like one question I have for you, Councillor Bauer, is when does a like home share property become a rental property?
That's a really good question, Councillor Montgomery. when a home share property is rented to more than one individual or more than one set of individuals in any given period, it becomes, when you don't take out a lease, typically with a rental property, you would take out 6 month, 1 year, or a long-term lease, and you would have a set price that would never be, that would never move. It would not include cleaning fees. It would not include other incidentals, and you would be forced to abide by a separate set of rules, that of the landlord and tenant board. And so this just pertains to people that are coming and going. So they're coming for 1 day, 2, 3, and there's multiple people coming to that space over a given time period.
Thank you.
Are you responding to her comments?
Yeah.
Then we'll need to adjust our microphone. New building would be nice.
So I guess, yeah, like one issue for me is just like to do with the timeline, because, like, you know, I believe that, you know, rentals that are month to month, for example, are legitimate rentals, and I'm not familiar, and I guess, so I'm not familiar with, you know, how home sharing usually works, but I guess so the question is, like, is there a difference between an agreement to temporarily rent a home for a weekend versus the agreement to rent a home for a month or longer? I'd be curious to know what the difference is, if there's a difference. And then as well, I guess, yeah, I would be curious to know if somebody who enters into an agreement to rent somebody's home, even for a short period of time, if they are in fact covered by the Alberta Landlord-Tenant Act.
So just to clarify, are you directing administration to check into some of those things, or?
Well, thank you. So I believe this motion, and Councillor Bauer could clarify, this motion speaks to investigating adding these requirements. And so I believe that, you know, the town could be looking at, I guess, yeah, answering some of these questions that I have. It looks like Mr. Roycroft's already got answers.
Oh, thank you. Your Worship, if I may, perhaps administration could, as directed by Councillor Bauer, prepare a quick position paper identifying some of the issues, how we would look at regulating this. Just call it a one-page item, quick, dirty, bring it sometime in December, and then council can decide how to proceed on that.
Councillor Bauer?
I would be good with that. I don't have the level of expertise to be able to answer these questions, and I trust that administration would have the right resources in order to do so.
Quick question for Jennifer. Would this involve Councillor Bauer now tabling her motion to a later date?
Your Worship, no, it wouldn't, because the motion is actually directing administration to investigate, so.
All right, Councillor Sobel.
You know, very quickly, I'm actually good with this, as long as it's kept short. That was my concern, because I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what this is about, because we know that there's only 2 Airbnbs in town. So the issue is not Airbnbs. The issue is other homes, and then you go into, and then you go into this gray area of someone, a family moving in with another family for 3 months at a nominal rate of money. Is that, and I'm not looking for any response here, but is that a home share? If you offer your place to a family for 3 months while you're in Florida or somewhere for no fee, is that home sharing? But they just pay the utilities, which is a form of payment. So I just see this becoming a problematic and in the definition of shared home. So hopefully, administration can shed some light on that, because I'm totally confused on it.
Thank you, Councillor Sobel. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Your Worship. I also am a little concerned. I know I read down here, it says suites and RVs. I'm not really sure how we're going to regulate an RV in a campground that they pay fees to. They don't actually, we can't regulate someone's private vehicle. So that one kind of confuses me as well. And my concern, I understand where you're going with safety and issues like that, but is this, again, going to benefit the amount of time and effort we're putting in to license 2 Airbnbs worth getting administration to do all this work? Should we maybe just have a vote on it right now?
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Bauer, followed by Councillor Peterson.
Councillor Cox, I would just like to respond to one of your comments, and that was why I put RVs in the whereas. These accommodations range from private rooms, suites, RVs, and whole homes. In British Columbia right now, there's a real problem with people renting out RVs. There's such a limit on space that people are actually renting out their Westphalia vans, their motorhomes, and just placing them in unrestricted areas, public spaces, and they're making money. These RVs do not come, they're not being placed where the infrastructure will be able to sustain them. So they're being placed along beaches, and people are defecating on the beach, and there's not proper bathrooms in place, and other problems are, garbage, trash, that kind of thing, are starting to pile up from that. I'm not saying that we have that problem in Strathmore, nor am I saying that RVs need to be looked at. I'm just saying that Airbnbs and home shares can also encompass RVs, and they also had that problem in Canmore. And so it is something that is close to home, but it's just not here yet, as of yet.
Thank you, Councillor Cox and Councillor Bauer. Councillor Peterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I look forward to seeing, to having clarity around this issue. I look forward to what administration will bring to us. And I think maybe a year ago, I wouldn't have attended to this in the same way I would today. But the reality is that with greater density in the downtown and living in South Downtown, I have seen lots of evidence of what I would call difficult living environments sometimes. One of the things that we've seen with the advent of the overnight shelter is the ongoing stories that we hear about people who are forced into the shelter on cold nights, but they've been living and paying rent in substandard trailers in the community, sometimes in people's yards, very often, in fact. And this is a dangerous situation in our community. I think licensing Airbnbs is just a good idea. I believe that most people are basically honest and given an attitude, an avenue rather, they will simply adhere to it, just like most of us do, except our mayor maybe, with when he's driving his Mustang with traffic speed signs and so on. But I think most people will comply. But there is another side to this that I think is probably exacerbated by the existence of the overnight shelter, or maybe we just have come to be aware of it. But the problem that we have with affordable housing in this community is impacting this. And as our fire chief said last week, or 2 weeks ago, it is the potential to cause danger as well. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you for that, Councillor Peterson. I believe we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? And opposed?
Sending it to administration.
Directing administration. So all opposed? So we have 5 in favor and 1 opposed. Okay, thank you very much. So the motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Item 13, urgent business. I don't believe we have any urgent business. 14, questions between councillors and/or council statements. Councillor Sobel.
Thank you. I have a statement I wish to read. You have to wait.
Okay.
Your Worship, on October 26th of this year, Representatives from the Strathmore Performing Arts Festival were in Edmonton armed with an application to join the Alberta Music Festival Association, also known as the AMFA. AMFA is an association of 35 local festivals throughout the province. All are entitled to send qualified representatives to the provincial festival. It's an honor for me to report that the Strathmore Performing Arts Festival, after only 1 year, was successful in their application to join the AMFA. Thank you and congratulations to Carolyn Steves and her amazing group of volunteers that continue to champion the annual Performing Arts Festival. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sobel. Councillor Bauer.
I don't have a prepared statement, Your Worship, but I just would like to let everyone in our audience and people at home know that. What? Nobody can hear you. Oh.
Very polite.
Point of order.
Your Worship, I would just like to say that to everyone at home and those people listening, that we had the absolute pleasure of working through a strategic visioning with this council this past weekend with Doug Griffiths and his team. And I just have to say, I've been a part of a lot of different visioning processes, and this was one of the absolute best that I have ever been involved in, and it's because of this council here. And I just would like everyone to know that we're continuing to work hard for you. We care about this community, and we had no problem giving up our Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday for you because we believe in Strathmore.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bauer. And did you want to go first, Councillor Peterson?
Just very briefly, and thank you, Councillor Bauer. I neglected in my Marigold report to say that after 33 years, Carly Pilikowski is retiring from Marigold. Her last official day, I think, was end of October 20th, something like that. But she has been a stellar employee. There's a recognition for her tomorrow between 2 and 3:30 p.m. So if you are connected to Marigold, please drop by. But I just wanted to say that the work that she's done and the trajectory on which she's taken Marigold through the communications world has been really remarkable. And we forget with our Marigold being in the midst of our own community that it serves 43 municipalities. And so she has been extraordinary. And to make it better in our small community, she nurtured and was a good teacher. And the succession plan is a wonderful one because Marigold has now replaced Carly, although she's kind of irreplaceable, but her position has been taken over by Miriam Thompson, formerly Miriam Oostergaard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Peterson. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Your Worship. I apologize profoundly. My words should have been psst instead of sht. Sorry.
Could you
Thank you
spell
very
that?
much.
Could you spell that for us?
Councillor Bauer, for your comment.
Councillor Bauer, are you speaking now? Thank you, Councillor Cox.
I would be remiss, Your Worship, if I did not thank Thomas. And I just really want to say thank you for putting together our strategic vision planning session. And thank you also to our CAO, James Thackeray, who was there the entire time, all weekend, and really contributed so much.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bauer, and I have apologized and pointed out that I was pretty cynical towards retreats before, and that was the best retreat I've ever been on. My only comment, and I wanted to maybe mention this publicly for the people at home, all three of you, I would like to point out and just remind people that I was fortunate to be at the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with Siksika Nation, and I was proud to have Councillors Sobel, Montgomery, and Peterson with me and the children. And I believe it's the first of its kind in a very far area. We hope that with this Memorandum of Understanding that it will bring the communities closer together and it'll help make life, help make the residents of Siksika feel safer in the community. And we'll hopefully address some of the action plans that we've laid out as the two councils have met, I believe, over 8 or 9 times already. We have identified 6 areas of need that we're going to work on for residents who come to Strathmore for visiting and for shopping, but also for those who are coming to town to live now, because we're growing in size. And as we grow in size, we take in more First Nations residents, and we want to make them feel safe. So this is a formal agreement we've signed, and hopefully that it will also bind the two councils into the future to continue regular meetings. I believe we have this meeting quarterly. So this is going to be a formal framework so that both councils, regardless of the personnel or the people who get elected, they'll continue to meet into the future. So that was a really good thing we were involved in last Friday, and I thank you all. I know some of you couldn't make it, but you were there for us in spirit, and you would have been there had you been able to. So thank you for that, everybody. And that brings us to administrative inquiries, 15.1. The admin inquiry response, 30-kilometer signs along construction zones, and it's on page 48. Ryan Roycroft, you're up, big guy.
All right, Your Worship. Since this has gone out, 30-kilometer signs are up. Some of the initial ones that went up were just on stands. As happens with those, they go for a walk. So now they'll be fastened in place. Those will be up for the duration of the construction project.
Thank you very much. And I see that today there was an update on how long it will be closed in that area too. There's an extension till the end of the month. So as long as we get the communication out there properly, hopefully the residents will be kind and understanding and accept that, because there are some definite things that need to be improved for the town there. Yes. Any other questions for Councillor Ryan? Any other questions for Ryan concerning the 30-kilometer signs by the construction zone? Seeing none, then we move on to 15.2, admin inquiry response regarding the advertising bench policy. And again, this is Mr. Roycroft.
Thank you, Your Worship. With regards to that, and I know I'm not supposed to say that anymore because everyone laughs at me, the town has no extant policy on advertising benches on private or public property at this time. There's a broad prohibition against advertising signage in parks, but it's so unclear that it would be really difficult to apply to anything.
Thank you very much. Any comments, Councillor Sobel?
Yes, Your Worship. With that in mind, I would like to move that administration be tasked with developing a suitable amendment to bylaw 14-11 that would govern the use of advertising benches in this municipality, and I'm prepared to speak to that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Please do.
Thank you. The issue that exists here is any lack of control from the town in regards to either design of what kind of bench is being used, location of the bench, the message that's on the bench, and the quantity of benches. So it's hopeful that this would not happen, but all these things are possible because we don't have any restrictions, any guidelines, any approval process in regards to locations and the message that is on these advertising benches. And I'm mostly focused on the public property, especially when they're being placed in front of public schools. Not to say that there's anything untoward towards in regards to the messages that I see, but nothing we have will presently stop any other type of message going on those benches.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to know whether or not in that same bylaw or policy, we could implement one with respect to monuments as well that are erected. Different policy altogether? Not sure.
Your Worship, if I may ask for a clarification, with regards to monuments, are we speaking of sort of permanent monuments or sort of temporary tributes?
We just had something come up in the past where we have a monument And we wanted to do another one, but then we couldn't because it wasn't what we wanted. And so I'm confused as to, do we actually have a policy with respect to monuments? And could we put it in this similar policy with benches?
Your worship, yeah, what I would likely direct my staff to do is, because one is primarily concerned with advertising, I think we'd present council with, a quick position paper in, we'll say, the January committee of the whole, looking at some best practices in municipalities, and council can then pick what they think the best practice is and move ahead with that. On the monument policy, how the town approaches that, that may be one that we will look for some more history on prior to bringing it back to council.
I'm just wondering, with respect to not only, I say monuments, because we do have a couple of them, but also with respect to statues, plaques, anything. Does that make sense? Okay.
Your worship, yeah, I'm not supposed to nod either. Yeah, I understand. I believe I understand where the councillor's looking for there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Oh, motion? You did have a motion on the floor. Thank you very much. All in favor of the motion?
discussion.
Yes. Sure. We have a motion on
All
the
I would
floor.
like to say is that I would like to just ask administration to consider style, design, location, and whether or not the bench be movable or stationary. There are so many benches in this town that are placed haphazardly, if that's a word, and that we also be very specific on the types of advertising that these benches can advertise.
Thank you very much for those comments. So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? The motion is carried. 15.3, Administrative Inquiry Response regarding council meeting video. Jen Sawatsky.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, there's a response provided in your package, and we're happy to answer any questions should you have them.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from councillors? Okay, that's good then. Thank you. We'll move on to 15.4, Administrative Inquiry Response concerning the Pivot Fields Tree Nursery concept. Brian Roycroft.
Thank you, Your Worship. The notion of, trying to grow more municipal, we'll call it growing infrastructure, a suitably bureaucratic term, is a really intriguing one. Right now, the pivot fields, because we don't service them with water, we'd have to truck water in. However, what we are doing now, started doing last year and will continue to going forward, is we try to save all of the plant material we can, all of the planters, flowers that Donna can pull out. Makes for a very full ops building during the winter, but it is very festive. So that's where we're finding a lot of the really good savings, is trying to save that material. Right now, because we have no large facility with a lot of access to water, what we do is we commission trees from local nurseries. So we actually have about 200 trees in various stages of commissioned. So rather than buying a mature tree, which costs a lot, we'll instead commission seedlings, and they'll grow for us until they're a good size to be planted. So we have about 210 ready to go from various nurseries, so we'll be looking to deploy those around town.
Councillor Montgomery.
Sorry, just to follow up, and so you would suggest that it's, according to like this response, it's not practical or worthwhile at this time to pursue that as a strategy.
Your Worship, I would emphasize, though, at this time, as development occurs and the looping of the water line across the highway is an identified infrastructure project, once there's water across the highway, it starts to make a lot more sense because we can set up irrigation. At this time, probably not.
Councillor Montgomery.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much for looking into that for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that deals with item 15.4, and I'm looking for a motion to go in camera. Councillor Bauer.
I move to go in camera.
Thank you. You've all heard the motion, and we have a motion to go in camera at 8:12 PM. All in favor? And we're in camera.